Dream Parade.
Number 1. Induction. Why are you always so serious? Loosen up, she was asking me reproachfully. The question she would use to passive-aggressively attack me from time to time when I would start getting on her nerves with my so-called moping, when I was just being my plain old annoying self. How could twins who were made in the same image be so far apart on the personality spectrum? She was the firstborn, beat me to it by a mere minute, probably fighting her way out of our mother's womb with her type A personality, always wanting to be the first in everything. Natural born winner. Watch yourself, Curls, she blurted out as I, lost in thought, almost stepped on and crushed an anthill on our path. How'd I get so clumsy? I detested this nickname she has been addressing me for ages. It originated from me always having one random strand of hair sticking from my head, an unruly curl. My hair was too wild to tame. No matter the care or the product, never docile. Even though it was well deserved, I guess, I still hated the name. And no matter how many times I asked her to stop calling me that, she had never complied, only teasing me more as a result, poking at my sensitive side. Meanwhile, her hair always looked perfect, as if she had just stepped out of a salon, with zero to no effort that I knew she actually put into maintaining it. Life ain't fair. The wind was picking up, rustling leaves of the poplar trees somewhat swaying along our way. It was a glum evening of the early summer. Everything was moving slowly. The few clouds, barely visible through the blockade of trees, floating above us, were forming different shapes, sending their mixed signals to whoever was paying attention and could interpret them. The sun was slowly making its way towards the other continents in the west that were expecting its timely arrival. I imagine twins are usually inseparable, always staying by each other's side, spending time together, thinking the same way, finishing each other's sentences, all the cutesy shit. It couldn't have been any further from the truth for Ronnie and I. We led the lives of our own, fully independent from the twins' magic of becoming one indivisible entity, immune to being viewed by everyone else as anything but a singular unit. If you think about it, the only time we consistently would be together are these hikes in the park we'll go on once a week, to sort of step into the comfort zone we've manifested over time, to help us unwind, to clear the mind and exercise the body, and of course, spend some quality family time. But realistically, calling them quality time is up for debate, as mostly these sibling walks ended up going the same way. Ronnie would talk non-stop, trying to catch me up on all of her latest happenings in life, and I would just be sulking my way up and down the hiking trail, providing minuscule amount of response to her chatter, and just stay on my private wavelength, the frequency some tried but fell short to properly tune their inner radios to. The signal was weak, the message was indecipherable. Not that I don't have anything to say, I just feel like she doesn't give me an opportunity to do so, an opening to interject. Lately, Ronnie's favorite topic she kept going on about was her recurrent dream, describing how every night something in her dream would go differently each time, but every variation of it would always end up the same. How there would always be a common denominator between those repeating visions. I pride myself in being pretty brave, despite how I present. For instance, if asked on the first date what my fear is, I wouldn't be able to come up with an answer, as all of the typical things like darkness, heights, wild animals, and so on tend not to have any effect on me. They simply do not frighten me. Uncomfortable social interactions are far more terrifying in my eyes than those primordial sources of terror. But when Ronnie describes her dream, I can't help but feel unease, as if her vivid recount transports me inside that nightmare of hers. Just listening to her makes all of the hairs on my body stand up and try to jump out of my skin. Freaky, isn't it? Every Ronnie's dream would start the same way, completely ordinary. She would just be going about her business, casually strolling through the day, totally unaware that she is, in fact, asleep. Neither would anyone else in her shoes. everything would be pretty boring and uneventful until there comes a point when some sort of accident happens. That was always the variable. A car speeding through the intersection, ignoring red light, or having malfunctioning brakes would accidentally hit her. A large object, let's say a cabinet, would break through the glass of one of those floor-to-ceiling glass walls in a tall office building and come crashing down on her. There will be a shootout in the street between police and criminals, and a stray bullet would somehow fly in my twins' direction for an unintentional, on-target hit. Many of these possibilities of an accident turning her regular schmegular day to shit, fatal even if it were to happen in real life. But no, that's not the creepy part, because usually after an accident of this sort, you would immediately wake up right before the hit, so to say. When a source leading to fatality were to connect with your body, your self-preservation inner mechanism typically would shake your body awake, and you would swear at your nightmare and go back to sleep sometime later, if you were tired enough. Not in her case. Without fault, she would always wake up in some sort of operating room with a minimal amount of objects inside of it. There would be someone there, standing over her, multiple figures. But unfortunately, she would be too fucked up to tell who or what they were. She would be unable to move or fully lift her eyelids, hardly seen through a strange squint. A dim light bulb mounted at the bottom of the ceiling fan, slowly spinning around, barely casting light stale air down on her stationary body, as if Ronnie were under general anesthesia administered earlier by those shady beings. Awake, semi-perceptible, yet still asleep, as if somehow seeing with her eyes shut. But get this, it's only going to get worse. These mysterious persons, without further ado, would start dismembering her body, cutting her up and pulling apart one limb at a time, doing it efficiently and systematically, as if they'd practiced this dance routine many times before, turning my twin sister into a helpless amputee. The doctors would keep operating on her, as she described, with the goal, by the end of the session, for Ronnie to shed her humanity and transform into a different organism altogether, with an extensive help of those Hippocratic oath givers, of course, forcefully and insistently dragging her along in the direction of change. How did she know that was the course of action and the end goal of theirs? I have no clue, neither did she, but she claimed she just had a hunch, felt it in her bones, whichever was still intact during their gruesome operation. How could she not wake up as soon as the cutting object touched her body? It was beyond me. But there is still more. The worst of all was the pain during this disfiguration process, the way she recounted how it felt so real and genuine that by the time she finally woke up for good, she could still feel it on her skin, as if something was actually happening during the prolonged nightmare of hers. Girls, imagine you're fully present, laying there motionless on the operating table, can't make a sound, can't fight them off. They just treat you like a doll, flip you however they please, saw off your limbs, take out your spine, and install a motor instead. And when you wake up, your sweaty self, like you're some kid who wet the bed at night, still feeling those gears grinding on your back, spinning round and round. Your skin doesn't feel refreshed, your mind is in an even worse state. It's all Goosebumps City, cold and eerie. I'm telling you, man, shit's weird.
Dream Parade.